I wake up to a devastating bleed, look down, and my hands were covered in blood. My pants were covered in blood. Terrifying for any woman who's pregnant. It was devastating. It was terrifying. We had to fully evacuate our personal belongings. To confirm black mold, you need to be out in the next hour.
They treated you like you were going to have that baby like right then and there. Like you needed to have a C-section in the next like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Like they were prepping the OR test.
The baby's thriving.
Thriving.
It's fine.
Great.
It's fine.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of MamaBare. This is a very exciting episode and a little bit different because I'm sitting down with my husband to go over a bit of our complicated pregnancy journey so far. So pregnancy number 2 with placenta previa is essentially what we're talking about today.
Complete placenta previa.
Yes, that is very important to add. So recap, first baby, natural home birth. Husband essentially helped deliver the baby with my sister-in-law. As our midwife at our house in our bed. It was super easy, super chill. We loved every minute of it. And going into this pregnancy, we wanted to duplicate that. And if not, make it even more natural in the sense I could catch the baby and different things like that. Maybe not have as many appointments, maybe do less ultrasounds, just really trust in my body. And we were very quickly given a curveball. At one of our early ultrasounds. I think we were told that my placenta was low-lying.
I think 20 weeks.
And we didn't really know what that meant. We were looking it up. We looked at some resources. It said 90% of these cases resolve themselves. So we weren't really concerned. We didn't play it any mind, really.
It's only 1 out of 200 have placenta previa, and then 9 out of 10 move. So that's like, if it's an issue, it's really like 1 in 2,000 women.
Right.
So it's not very high.
we really didn't pay it any mind. We didn't let it weigh on us. Like we were like, oh, that sucks. Hopefully it moves, like it shouldn't be an issue. Fast forward to, I think we had to go back and get another ultrasound to confirm. They wanted to be sure. And I think that might have been at 26 weeks because I know we got the call at 28 weeks to confirm yes. And we did an internal ultrasound this time, so a transvaginal ultrasound to confirm the exact location of the placenta. And it was 100% covering the cervix. So essentially what placenta previa is your placenta, which is the organ in which your baby, okay, and this is just my understanding of it, in which your baby implants into your uterus. It can implant high, and I believe it tries to implant high, and it's looking for viable tissue. And if it can't do that, it eventually implants low at the bottom of your uterus. And that's just like your blood supply between your body supplying the baby. So the blood, the nutrients, all that fun stuff. But if your placenta is blocking your cervix, there's no way to deliver your baby naturally. So that's a problem.
Yeah, it's blocking the cervix, I guess.
Yeah, you can't dilate because if you dilate, you'll bleed out. You cannot push the baby vaginally out. So the one option you're given if the placenta stays covered to full term is C-section. And the doctors aren't shy about that. So at 28 weeks, I got a call from our midwife saying, listen, we're transferring your care to the OB. Like, it's over. You're on bed rest. Like,
prepare for a C-section.
Prepare for C-section. Yeah. Like, no working out. To this point, I'd been working out fully. Like, I'd still been working out. I'd been lifting weights. I'd been doing cardio.
You did a big workout that day.
Yeah. And then to learn, listen, you're now on bed rest. Don't pick up your son. Lock it down. And then we really kept faith still at that point. I remember on the phone with my midwife saying, well, it's not over yet. I don't want to be transferred to OBs. I'm only 26 or 28 weeks. We have lots of time. And during all our research, we found still a lot of women don't go through their major growth with their uterus till much further on in their pregnancy. So we really still had faith that this would change. Fast forward. So this happens at 28 weeks and kind of end of 28 weeks. We learn, yep, you're on bed rest. Couple days later, we learn that we have mold in our house.
Oh, I thought you were talking about placenta previa.
No, it's a major thing in our life.
No, yeah. We had I'd always been worried that we had mold in our floor.
Yeah, so we just, backstory, new build. Our home is less than 2 years old.
Yeah, complete renovation.
Yeah, 99% new build.
The way they did the floor, I always thought it was a little bit weird that they maybe had trapped moisture in there, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. They ended up building the house up on 2x6s wood and basically had a little space in the bottom that they insulated and then put the plywood over top rather than pouring concrete everywhere. And I always was like, moisture could get in there. And in our nursery, our son's nursery, there was always a creak in the room, and I always thought that was kind of weird.
And the door didn't ever close fully.
Door never closed. There was a couple weird things around that area of the house, and the moisture in the house was always so high. I could never get it down, no matter what I did, no matter how many dehumidifiers I ran. We finally found it became a soft spot. That creek became a soft spot in his room.
Yeah, no. So I wanted you to pull out the rug. There was a rug in that room.
Yeah.
And I was like, honey, this has got to get washed. Let's wash it before the weather gets cold. You pull it out, and all of a sudden, the floor felt weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
was like, this is wrong.
I remember being like, oh no, we might have to rip out every floor in our house. And I was like, I hope I'm wrong, but like something in the back of my mind says this is not good. So we called the rental company in. They pulled the floor back, and within like the first 6 inches of ripping the floor out from the corner of the wall, they black mold every inch of that floor.
Bedroom, like our 13, 14-month-old son's bedroom. Like, it was devastating to find for many reasons. Obviously, health concerns. We're living in this house. I'm now on bed rest. And within hours less, we had to fully evacuate our personal belongings. Like, it went from, oh, what could this be? What's wrong, to confirmed black mold. You need to be out in the next hour. So we then continued to pack up our house as quickly as possible. Luckily, we didn't mention, just a day before or after we learned about my Previa, we had hired a nanny. Luckily.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Perfect timing. So this was her very first day taking him out of the house. So he was at a play group, thank goodness. So while I'm on bed rest, now we're picking up boxes, packing everything, getting everything packed away into my car so that Everest and I, when he got home, we could whip off and go find a place to stay so we could stay with your parents for a week. It was awful. So now we're fighting a battle on two fronts. We're essentially homeless, out of our house, unsure what's going to happen. At this point, it could be months. Like, we weren't sure if we'd be back before the baby was born. So our baby's due mid-January. When did this happen? A week before Halloween. So we did Halloween at your parents. Yeah, so it was end of October. And so we're like, okay, baby, we've got Christmas coming up. We've got the baby coming in January. Like, we were fearing the worst. Like, we're not going to be home in time. So now my stress levels go way high. My activity levels go way high, right? Like, now I'm fighting the battle on two fronts. Like, okay, I'm on this bed rest, but now I'm moving my whole family out into an unknown situation. So we move in with your parents. Everything's going well. Things feel a little bit off, though. During all this, we're trying everything we can to maintain a good natural combat against placenta previa. So through our research, we learned that like Chinese medicine can help with placenta previa, and it's essentially what they believe is like a weakened spleen. So you work to like heal your spleen chi, which sounds kind of voodoo, but we've learned a little bit about it, and it's a lot of like a warming diet and helping like lift that spleen. So we started on a warming diet, which became much harder when we were like displaced from our house. And we started doing moxibustion, which is like lighting this little fire stick. It's mugwort, I think.
Mugwort?
Mugwort?
I think it's mugwort.
Mugwort, which I don't know what that is.
I haven't done the research to figure out what it is either.
But they use it with like breech babies too, to help flip a breech baby. But there's like different acupuncture points and different like pressure points that you press on with this like acupuncture. So they light this little stick on fire and they kind of wave it over a certain area to achieve a desired result. So for me, I'd get acupuncture along my upper abdomen, different points along my legs for like spleen and kidney points, and then on the top of my head. And my naturopath will wave the moxibustion stick. I do that once a week, and then you would do this to me every day. Like, you would do the moxibustion every day.
Yep.
So we maintained most of these habits while we were displaced. But obviously the diet thing kind of got tossed. I wasn't really feeling the best. And so a week into all of this, we're out of our house. Builders are assessing the situation at our house, like ripping our house apart. We're making do as best we can. You're commuting back and forth to our house every day. And then in the middle of the night, a week into this journey, we have like a devastating, terrible bleed. So I wake up at 2:30 in the morning. Now this is at 29 weeks pregnant. I wake up to a devastating bleed. I just woke up to use the washroom and looked down, and my hands were covered in blood. My pants were covered in blood. Terrifying for any woman who's pregnant. in any stage of their pregnancy. I think most women can, you know, relate to the fact of like using the bathroom through your pregnancy. Like it always comes that little bit of fear every time you go to the washroom, like hoping not to see any color or discharge or anything like that. And this was just to the nth degree, seeing all this blood. So I went to the washroom, of course, if the toilet fills with blood. It was a terrible, terrible scene, 2:30 in the morning. But thank goodness, like we believe everything kind of worked itself out because we were living at his parents' house. We were able to go get his mom to watch our son who was sleeping while we could go to the hospital. Erin, you ran up and got your sister, who again is our midwife. She was upstairs as well, grabbed her, and she actually has a young baby, so she was awake at this time. She came down, assessed the situation, wasn't sure how much blood, saw that it was not just some spotting. Like this is a full-blown bleed. And immediately says, you got to get to the hospital. Luckily, we're 5 minutes away. You drive me to the hospital. We get there. I get rushed right up, obviously, to labor and delivery immediately. And it was panic from there. It was terrifying.
Yeah, you get to the hospital and everyone's in like full panic mode. Like they treated you like you were going to have that baby like right then and there. Like you needed to have a C-section in the next like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Like they were prepping the OR.
Yeah, they call in the doctor and the nurses are doing all the tests. They get an IV in you, blood pressure. Let's get the ultrasound in here immediately. We're going to give you a steroid shot for the baby. And C-section is coming. Get ready to sign these forms. And it's like...
It was devastating. It was terrifying.
Yeah, it was terrifying to you. I was... luckily not very worried.
Oh my gosh, how are you not worried?
Because I was
to see all that blood?
Because I had done enough research to know that most people that have placenta previa are going to bleed at some point.
You weren't seeing all that. That was so scary.
I don't know, from the videos that I had watched and from everything that I had read, I
were not scared.
No, I was not scared.
Oh
when
gosh,
it happened,
honey.
When it happened, I was like, this is fairly normal.
Yeah, but we don't know in that moment when you're bleeding what's going to happen.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. But for me, I was like, this is fairly normal. And it's all based on your symptoms as well. Though you're bleeding.
That's one thing we have to...
constantly, the whole time, was always like, how do you feel? And you're like, I feel okay. And you're like, I feel good. I'm like, do you feel sick? Like, I would ask you, like, do you think the baby is coming today? And you'd be like, no.
That's a good point.
You're like, I feel good other than I feel tired. And I'm like, well, of course you feel tired because you've lost a lot of blood.
Yes.
So, but other than that,
like early on into being in the hospital, we did take like a timeout and we're like, okay, I feel fine. The baby is confirmed fine. It feels fine to me, and now confirmed on ultrasound and
the ultrasound and all the tests. The baby's thriving. It's fine.
Great.
It's fine.
Yeah, and within maybe 6 to 8 hours, I stopped bleeding.
Yeah.
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 I no longer, and like it had already, the major bleed had stopped, and then it kind of trickled on for another 6 to 8 hours. I passed some major like golf ball plus sized clots, which was again very terrifying.
Later in the day.
Later in the day, which was good because the blood clotting and getting darker, so we knew the bleeding was coming to an end, or that was the hope. But yes, you're absolutely right. Oh, I was terrified. I didn't realize that you weren't scared. I was terrified because it's, again, very hard to kind of go against what everyone in the room is saying. So you've got doctors and nurses telling you one thing and you believe another, and you're so scared to go against what they're saying. And again, in that moment, I never really knew what the steroid shot was. And so the doctors are telling us you need to get the steroid shot.
Yeah, basically the only standard of care that they have in this situation is we're going to put you on an IV. No food or drink, because just in case you have to go on a C-section. And because the baby's going to be premature, you got to take the steroid shot.
Right.
That's the standard of care. Yeah. That's what they're going to recommend. That's what they did recommend. And then they're acting as like the worst situation is going to come in case the worst situation does come. That's obviously what they're planning for and worried about. So, yeah, and then their only thing is you have the steroid shot, which...
That became the biggest battle.
We are quite naturalists. We don't even take Tylenol barely. We don't take Advil. We're very natural people. So, we're going to give you a steroid shot. It's like,
What is that?
I don't even know. Can I have the name of the steroid? I don't
Can
even.
we take a pause? Like, okay, what is that? Why are we getting it? What's the pros and cons? Like, what will this help with? And what are the negative consequences? Because surely there are some. Like, what do the studies say? Can we have a minute to look at this and talk about this? Instead, it was like a nurse coming in the room with a needle saying, we're going to give you this shot. And us going, what is it? And that was like such a turning point in that moment of like us versus them, kind of like everyone in the room was very much like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Like, you guys are bad parents. Like, you're putting your baby at risk. And it was like, they literally said these things. And it was terrifying. Like, because I'm a mom. And again, it's easier for you to be calm because it isn't your body and it's not you at the end of the day that gets to make the choice. Like, of course we are very involved in how we make these decisions. But at the end of the day, like, if a mistake is made, it would fall on me and that would be terrifying. And so I want to do what's right for the baby. And of course, if the baby was coming at 28 weeks, 29 weeks, like if studies show that this is what the baby needs, like I'm not sure I would be 100% against that. Like just say I'm in imminent labor. Perhaps I would have gotten the shot. You know what I mean? Like that's something we would have had to talk about. And I also believe they wanted to be able to give more than one dose before. So that was like their biggest thing. Like, okay, so if you get it today, and just so you don't go into labor for another week, we can give you another before the baby comes because you need to have 2 or whatever. I don't know exactly how many, but it needs to be 24 hours before delivery. That was kind of like their big thing. And we just said, can we just take a beat? Like we kept asking, like, what do you think? Like, what are the chances the baby's coming today? And they, again and again, were like, we can't tell you. Like, we don't know. There's no way to know. I'm like, okay, well, in my opinion, the baby's not coming today. And I know I'm not in full control of that, but it felt like I felt strongly that the baby was not going to come today and that I was okay. Like we were seeing the blood slow down. And so we made the call, no, we're not getting the shot. And we were public enemy number 1 in that room. Like, yeah, very scary moment. So we ride out the rest of that stay. We are asked to stay for a period of time, a few nights. I believe they wanted to keep me. And after 24 hours, we just discharged me. I stayed the night, was admitted tonight, and I signed the form to leave against medical advice. And I went home, back to your parents' house. So then the next big thing was like your parents, who are our biggest support system, who are helping me through the day, all day, every day, so I can be on this bed rest. Well, they also should be noted, this happened. I'd never spent a night away from Everest ever. I'd never not been the one to lay him down for bed ever in his life. And so this was extremely difficult to have a 14-month-old at home. And I'm now going through this high-risk pregnancy, have this homelessness with the mold in my house. I'm going through all this stress in my current pregnancy. And now I can't do my job as a mom and I can't be home with him to lay. Like that was incredibly stressful and difficult. So we're back at home with your parents. We have a lot of support, home cooked meals, laundry being done for us, like a really stable support center, which was great, but it was all coming to an end because your family was traveling a big trip, like a multi-week trip. And that was devastating. So we had to move again. So we pack up our apartment that we were luckily had our own apartment in their house. And we pack up our own apartment and we move, again. And we were only going to be without help for 12 hours because 12 hours later, my family was going to come stay with us. And we had like people taking shifts and it was all settled. Sadly, the house we were at for our first stint was 5 minutes from the hospital. This next stint was going to be an hour away from the hospital. But because we had all this help, we felt good about it. We were going to be supported. So we make the move. Everything goes great. Again, I probably do too much movement during this time. It's probably a stressful day, whatever. Now we make it through the night. Probably our best night's sleep.
Slept great that night.
My husband, Aaron, has a terrible track record with the sleep. So for him to say that means a great thing. So we slept till 6:30 a.m. And you had a great night's sleep, which was huge because we were about to go into what becomes like another terrible, terrible week. So wake up at 6:30 to another bleed. At the time, I would have said it was just as bad of a bleed, but in hindsight, I would say maybe 50 to 70% as bad.
So what was that, a week later? So
it was 6 days later. So I was 29 and 6. I was almost 30 weeks. I would be 30 weeks the next day. Okay. So I'm almost 30 weeks, call it 30 weeks pregnant. luckily 6:30. So it's about the time my son wakes up. We go get him. We clean up the blood, whatever. Go get my son. And you don't understand. It wasn't just like we moved and brought like a duffel bag of things to stay at this house. Like we moved in. We brought like, we was supposed to be an extended stay. So we moved like our permanent crib, our permanent rocking chairs, suitcases on suitcase, like food, like a ton of stuff. We moved. It was just, we were planning on staying there for who knows how long.
Yeah, I spent the whole previous like afternoon and evening moving all of our stuff.
With help. Yeah.
Yeah, with the help of 2 different people. And we didn't know if we were going to be there for 2 or 3 months. So
yeah. So we needed to be comfortable. So then, now, spoiler alert, we never go back to this house. We moved everything fully in to never go back outside of removing our belongings. So in the morning, we rushed to the hospital. Probably 3 hours post onset of bleed, we arrived to the hospital. 2.5, 3 hours, call it. I get it into the room. Now, this was a lot more chill. They weren't like jumping down our back. They weren't like they were in Sarnia. They weren't prepping the OR immediately. So we thought. And they were a little bit more chill. My bleeding had already slowed by the time I was there. Like it was essentially over. I really did not bleed much once getting there. But basically the story goes the same. They were considering C-section. They brought the anesthesiologist in to meet with me, who even checked my spine and walked me through the different types of like general anesthetic versus, what's the other one? General versus
an epidural?
Non-general.
An epidural?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So one would be like putting me out fully, and another one just being like the spinal tap.
Yeah, spinal tap.
Yeah, epidural. Yeah, whatever. So they walk us through all that, and I remember like the anesthesiologist, you remember he was walking away. He's like, okay, well, I'll see you guys later. And we're like, hope not.
Yeah.
Literally hope to never see you again. Because obviously at this point, even on the form they brought me a form, and it was like, what's your desired outcome of birth? You know, like, I don't remember what the options were. C-section, this, and I like created my own box and wrote home birth next to it.
It didn't exist on the form.
And checked it off. And I'm sure whoever got that form was like, this lady is crazy. But in my mind, we're still 10 weeks out. I've got a lot of growth ahead of me. The placenta's going to move.
And you're in the same situation. It's like, even when you did bleed, I was like, do we need to go to the hospital? And you're like, yeah, of course we need to go to the hospital.
Is
and
my
I was
life
and I was
on
like,
the line, honey?
I was like, okay, but again, it was the same situation. You had already bled once. You were totally fine. The hospital didn't do anything for you.
Okay, but the point being, we don't know if the bleeding's going to end. That's the point.
Yeah. And so I asked you. I was allowed to ask the question. Are you sure you want? Basically, are you sure you want to spend the next 24 hours minimum in the hospital again and have to deal with the hospital, all that stuff?
I said yes.
And you said yes. I said okay. I'll take you to the hospital. But I was just double checking because I was like, hey, again, are you fine? Yes. I feel a little fatigued. I'm a little tired. Okay.
Baby feels good. I feel good. Let's go check out the bleed.
Well, I'll take you to the hospital. But again, I'm not very worried.
It is alarming to wake up to that amount of blood and knowing the condition, knowing that like at some point my body could keep pumping blood and it could not stop. I don't want to be very far from a hospital if that happens.
Yeah.
You're so funny.
See, I doubt
what do you mean even that?
I doubt it a little bit because I can't find on Google. I can't find anywhere. It just says that this happens, that women do die to placenta previa. I'm like, where has a woman ever died to placenta previa?
Honey, it can happen.
I believe it can happen, but I just can't find it. Okay. Now, the modern medical system.
Well, you know why you can't find it? Probably because the hospital systems know it can happen, so they won't let you go very far.
Exactly. So they'll C-section you before.
C-section you before, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Either way.
Yeah.
Either way. This situation, so not to downplay it, it was still incredibly scary for my end, but like we stayed in good hopes. And like, I remember even talking to my midwife that morning, being like, hey, here's the update. I'm having another bleed. We're going into the hospital. Now, again, they're probably thinking you're crazy. You were supposed to be still in the hospital. Like, you know, this is, she has to give me a little speech like, Bree, this is very serious. Like, you need to get into a hospital. I'm like, hey, I'm going. Like, you don't need to tell me to go. I'm already on the way. I'm just letting you know this is what happened. So I think a lot of people can take my calmness or my ability to like be not chill. I'm not going to say chill, but like laugh things off in those moments. To be like, I'm not taking it seriously, or like, we're not taking it seriously. We know that this is or maybe I know this is a serious circumstance and that we need to get this checked out. But if all I can do, if the only thing is in my control, keeping myself calm, then that's what I'm going to do. There's nothing I can do right now except get to the hospital. So I'm just going to try and stay calm, not make light of it, but like make this not more stressful than it needs to be. So, get to the hospital, blah, 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 blah. Same idea. I'm admitted now for the night. Admitted for the rest of the pregnancy. So
Yeah, no, they said, when you asked them how long should I stay for, or would you recommend I stayed for, they said until the baby comes.
Until delivery.
They were happy to keep you in that ward until the baby came.
And full transparency, at this point, like the first hospital, I had an IV because I'd lost so much blood. Second hospital, no IV, no baby monitor on. I'm not hooked up to anything. And then the craziest part, when I go to sign the against medical advice form, I go, okay, well, what would you tell me if I was staying here? Like what would your advice be? And they were like, nothing. I'm like bed rest? And they're like, no. And I was like flabbergasted. Like everyone to this date, my midwife, the hospital, everyone was like, you're on bed rest or some form of bed rest, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like studies show that's not like proven to work. Like you can actually get blood clots that way. So like, yeah, just maybe take it easy, but like maybe keep your feet up for rest. And my naturopath is very much like keep your feet up, but like not necessarily you're on bed rest for sure. If you're uncomfortable, take it easy, essentially. And so
the majority of people were like, bed rest, don't do anything. And then the nurse practitioner and now your OB is like, no, move as much as you want.
Yeah, stay active,
like,
lift your son. I was like, my son's 30 pounds, no problem.
No, everyone's on a different page. No one
Yeah.
knows. No one knows no one seems to know what they're talking about.
And it just adds to my point of like, why would I stay? Again, outside of being close, what they're saying, be close for a bleed. What advantage does me staying here be if I'm not hooked up to anything? You're not administering me anything. You're not doing any tests. You're not watching for anything. I'm not on bed rest. So our decision was then so you had stayed that night at my mom's forever. So again, now this is night 2 now where I don't get to lay my son down. And luckily we had that support. My mom was going to be with us anyway, living with us to help take care of us. She was on vacation that week. So you were able to stay with them and we got some extra help from them. After that, we moved in with my dad, who again, I'll speed through this part, but like he was going to have a day surgery. We move in with them. He was supposed to be home from his day surgery and then we'd have a little bit of help. It would be condensed help because of his day surgery, but we'd be in a safe place, close to the hospital, with my stepmom, able to help, home cooked meals. We were in a good spot with help, essentially, so that if there was a bleed in the middle of the night, we were close to the hospital and our son could be watched. Like that was the whole plan. So we move in with them and literally don't see my dad the whole week because this is not funny, but his surgery went south. He had terrible recovery. So he had to stay actually in the hospital for the week. So we're like, we got to get home. Like we were desperate to get home. You weren't working. I'm needing help. Like at this point, I'm still needing full on support and help. Like I was not doing as well as I am today. So we really pushed kind of the general contractors and like our construction team here at the house to be like, we're coming home. Like you're going to have to do construction around us because we can no longer, we have outdoor dogs here at the house. And we were coming to let them in and out every day. We were having people come do that to help us, like friends, family support us. You weren't getting any work done. You were commuting back and forth. I was having different people in and out. We didn't know any given day where Everest was napping or sleeping. Like we moved that pack and play twice a day, every day for his naps and his bedtime. It was a nightmare. Let alone what are we eating for dinner? Where do we do it? Who's cooking this? It was a nightmare. And at a time where I'm supposed to be A, enjoying my pregnancy and my life with my toddler, getting ready for the holidays, and B, trying to live low stress and like get through this pregnancy. It was impossible. Every day was so stressful.
Yeah. So we just taped off the 2 bedrooms and the 1 bathroom and we moved our bed into our bedroom and that was it. And
yeah. So what was supposed to be what was potentially going to be a couple of months of being out of our house turned into 4 or 5 weeks.
To being back to normal. Yeah. We were only out of the house for actually like maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks. And then back in the house on a reduced way.
Yeah. I thought they might have to rip out every floor in the entire house. And luckily, it seems to be sequestered to just those 2 bedrooms and our walk-in closet. So, and they seem to have remediated it pretty good. We even brought in an additional mold specialist who fogged it, and we got his opinion and consulted with him. And so then we were like, okay, this seems to be in a good spot. So we kind of just separated that part of the house. And then our walk-in closet, we always just kept the door closed and only had our bed in there.
Yeah.
And then we were able to move back in and we kind of just made it work.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, it wasn't like back to real life like we are now. Like we weren't in a steady spot. Again, we're like, again, we were moving the crib twice a day, the pack and play twice a day. Our son would nap in one spot, sleep in the other because the construction crew was in and out. During this time, we did have the help of our nanny, which was incredibly helpful because I still wasn't feeling great. And the workload was still a lot. We had just moved out and 3-4 rooms of our house were displaced. So, and just boxes and things everywhere. And it was a nightmare. But now I'm 30 plus weeks pregnant at the time. We're working through getting back, and week by week, as we got moved back in, I started feeling better and the house started getting put. And so now I can say, like, unless we have any further updates, like now I'm 35 weeks pregnant. Wow, that's crazy. 35 weeks pregnant. And doing really well. Doing really, really well. But to catch you up on the placenta previa of it all, both hospital stays, we did ultrasounds, both hospital stays still complete previa. So the 30-week ultrasound was really a letdown to know that it was still covered. We had rescheduled for, oh gosh, this just happened, 34 and a half weeks. 34 and a half weeks, so a week ago. I go into my OB's office now. So one of my only real OB appointment I've had, because I was always with midwives, and I go in to get an ultrasound at 11 in the morning and waited around the hospital until 2:30, got my results back, that I still sadly have a complete previa. So my cervix is still completely covered by the placenta. And as of that appointment, my doctor said, listen, you have a 99.9% chance of this not moving. You're like, of course, I was by myself. You were in Florida, so
99.9% chance you're getting a C-section, he said.
Yeah, but my point being, like, I was alone during this meeting, and so he gave me a lot of information I didn't really retain because I was losing it. Like, I just broke down. I was so sad. I kept it together when he told me it was still covered, because to me, that wasn't so crazy. Like, so my placenta, my cervix was centrally located under my placenta. And now he's telling me the placenta is mostly posterior, so it's going up the back of my uterus, covering the cervix and hanging anterior a little bit. I don't know those exact measurements, but with that, at 34 and a half weeks pregnant, he's saying 99.9% chance it will not move. You need a C-section. So he's saying now at 38 weeks, he wants to schedule a C-section. So that's 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks from now. So it'll be between Christmas and New Year's, essentially. That's sometime that week. Not a great week. So he said, and like, to me, in one sense, 38 weeks is a lot longer than I thought, like, I would be able to go, like, based on my doctor letting me go without any push, because everything I had read was like 36, 37. You're going to get a C-section. So when he said 38, I'm like, I can deal with 38. Like,
he did that for you because he knows you don't want it and you want to wait as long as possible.
Yeah, I would say we do have a really good OB. Like, our OB, he believes in home birth. He believes in the natural lifestyle. He said even 2 out of the 3 of his kids or whatever were all home birth.
Yeah. And he doesn't want to do a C-section at Christmas.
No, who does?
We'll just schedule it the week after then.
So he did say, though, that week is still low staffed and busy. So he's like, well, we may have to do 39 weeks if we can't fit you in. And I'm like, even better. You know, like, of course, I know the risk with going another week later means a risk of me potentially going into labor naturally. And if my cervix is still covered, then that's more of a risk of me bleeding out or having to do a riskier surgery. Like, let me preface with, like, we are so naturally based. Like, the idea of a C-section is so devastating for me. Like, you and I have not really talked about what it would be like to have a C-section, because we just really can't go there. And in one sense, maybe that's like, we're not being prepared. We're being a little bit like irresponsible in that way. But the other sense, like, we both just feel so confident in my body and so hopeful that the placenta is going to move.
Yeah.
And the idea of, like, accepting or talking about the C-section feels like we're accepting this, like, alternate route that we really do not want to deal with. So
yeah,
if if we go another week here and say next week, so we have a follow-up next week at 36 and a half weeks, 1 week from today. If at that appointment we get the news it's still covered, we may come home and start to discuss what that looks like for us, like what C-section at 38 weeks will look like. And we'll start to kind of wrap our heads around it. But at this point, like that feels so wrong. Just based on how my last delivery went, it feels so hard. Any woman that has to get a C-section for emergency for whatever reason it's a tricky thing. It's not an easy decision. It's harder. It's so much harder of a recovery and difficult to know that you can't deliver naturally. I'm sure most women go through some sort of grief with that. And to know that I have literally one of the only conditions that you can't even try. I can't even try to push the baby out. Like if the placenta is blocked the cervix, there's no way for me to push a baby out. It's not like I can give it a go. And if it goes south, then we can operate. It's like, no, my body cannot get this baby out. And that feels really devastating. So at this point, we're really holding on to just like trusting ourselves and trusting my body and doing everything we can, keeping me off my feet, eating a warming diet, doing the moxibustion and the acupuncture and just trying everything we can to get that placenta to move. And we believe it will, right?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the evidence of why we think it'll move and hear the hurt of all the good things we've figured out?
Yeah.
Well, at probably 28 weeks, I guess, when you got the call from the midwife that was like, you're prepare for C-section, we're going to transfer you to OB.
Yeah.
I probably spent an hour that night of just
Looking
placenta previa, complete placenta previa, fully restored, fully healed, natural birth, YouTube, Google, Reddit, just everything I could find.
There's very little out there.
There's very little. You see Facebook groups and all that stuff. You see all these comments of I have Previa, I have placenta Previa, complete Previa, all these things. What am I going to do? And then you see all these people comment below like, what happened? And no one ever follows up.
Yeah.
So going down the route, I found a couple of resources of people saying, hey, we can actually help with this. Only Chinese medicine. So we went down the Chinese medicine route.
And luckily, we were already in with our naturopath who was seeing our son at the time.
Yeah.
And we just reached out to her like, hey, do you know anything about this? She's like, yeah, I can get you in for acupuncture, but didn't really mention anything else. And when I got there and presented to her with some of the information we had learned, like the spleen chi and the moxibustion and the warming diet, she already knew everything about it. And so we got like a triple whammy with her, and she's really been able to support us through this whole journey.
Yeah, huge resource.
Yeah.
She's helped you a lot. She believes what you're doing with her is helping as well, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And looking on YouTube, which is the only resource that I could really find anything, I found a Chinese medicine practitioner that said, hey, every client I've ever had with Previa, I've actually been able to help. She's like, I have a 99% success rate. Of course, she's in like California or something. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we got to find someone like her. And then I was able to, of all the videos of Placenta Previa, most of them are educational videos.
This is what it is. This is the definition of a Previa.
First 15 videos, Placenta Previa are, this is your uterus, this is your cervix, it's like a balloon, if you're watching this video and you found it on YouTube or something, you've probably already seen these videos. The cervix is in the bottom and it's going to expand and hopefully grow.
Yeah, that's the first definition every practitioner gives you. Your cervix is a balloon. Picture the placenta at the bottom of the balloon, and as you blow it up, the placenta will move up with it. So the placenta doesn't actually move. That's what we should be saying. We keep saying it's going to move. The placenta doesn't move. Sorry. The placenta is implanted.
It's going to grow. Your uterus grows and your placenta grows.
It grows upwards with your uterus if you're lucky. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay.
But I was able to find 2 YouTube videos of 2 women that were like, I had complete Previa, and thank God it moved.
Yeah.
And out of all the other videos, they were like, it didn't move, or people were vlogging their experience or whatever. But these were 2 women that I was able to find videos. The one was at like 37 weeks it moved, and she went to have a home birth, or at least a vaginal birth. And the other woman, she had like 6 kids, I remember, and it was her 6th child.
It was devastating for her.
And so she went on bed rest, and she waited till like 39 or 40 weeks. Ultrasound, it moved, and like a week or 2 later, she had a natural birth, home birth.
Yeah, and I started sharing my journey on social media, and had some people reach out to me.
That was going to be the next evidence I said.
A woman who lives locally to us. who reached out and it's expressed that her story was very similar. So she also had a complete previa. I might not get all the details correct, but essentially exactly what you're saying. Late in her pregnancy, they scheduled C-section because it was still, or discussed C-section to some degree. It was still covered. But as time went, I mean, really late. Like I think somewhere between 38 to 40, it was still covered. And around 40, it shifted. And at 41, she delivered naturally or vaginally, which like gives me so much hope. And I know that's the minority. I know we're not hearing, because so many women get the C-section early.
The exception to that is the standard of care is if you have Previa, specifically,
that's what I said, they get the C-section early.
placenta, especially complete Previa, you're going to have a C-section at 36, 37. So it's very rare also that you ever even go to 39 or 40 weeks. So the question is, if they let them go 39 or 40 weeks,
would it be any different?
What is the percentage of them that would actually move?
Yeah, that's always our question when it comes to these due date things. Like even take Previa out of it. We always discuss that. Like, okay, so in Canada, they say the average delivery date is blank. Well, if they didn't do so many inductions, they didn't do so many C-sections, they didn't do so many A, B, C, Ds, or if people weren't so fear-based about the size of the baby and just different things, you know, and like we're not ruling out that there's no reason for these things. Like we know there's some conditions where interventions need to come in and there's emergency situations, absolutely. But take their general situations into consideration. Would the due date be shifted, right? Because we say 40 weeks, but would it be 41, 42, 43 if that were the case? Because different countries have different due dates. Yeah. That makes no sense. We're all women. So
the one that always shocks me is if you Google what is the average due date if you don't include inductions or C-sections, or the average due date for a natural birth, it's 41 weeks and 3 days. That's an additional 10 days from the average due date of at least Canada and the States, which is 40. Yeah. That's 10 days.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
It's a big difference. And we went at exactly 41 with Everest, with our son. And my goal is to go 41 with this one as well. And so this is kind of a scary time. Like we would have loved to make this update video if our life weren't like totally crazy the last month and a half. We would have done like an earlier update video to be like, here's what we just learned. Okay, here's what's happened. But now we're kind of making an update, a larger update from diagnosis, I guess, to 35. So from 28 to 35, essentially, that's our story. We're at 35 now. Really, the scariest stuff is ahead of us. Not scary in terms of like bad things are going to happen, but like it's kind of like crunch time. So it's like the pressure's on and bigger conversations now need to happen. So our doctor said it to us, like, although each week is something to celebrate because the baby's bigger and bigger. And one thing we didn't mention was after the 34 week was like a big celebration because they stopped giving like the shots for the most part, the steroid injection.
Yeah, the only thing they really offer is the steroid, and they want to push you to do that until 34 weeks.
Yeah. And so, like, when we hit 34 weeks, we just, like, felt so vindicated that at 28 weeks, like, we declined it. And we waited the full 6 weeks, and we safely made it out of it, and we never needed to get that shot. And I know, again, a lot of people get the shot, and everyone can make their own decisions. But for us, that was really important to us, and that felt like such a win. And so now at 35 and a half weeks, it feels like such a win again. But that my doctor really leveled with us and said, listen, every week is something to celebrate because your baby's growing, and that's really great. But every week is also a week closer to naturally going into labor. Like, although we're saying 41 and 10 or 40 and 10 is like the average for women to go into labor naturally, that's an average. A lot of women go into labor 36, 37, 38. I know lots of people that naturally go into labor that early. That's now. That's go time. So as of now, with my cervix still covered, we can't have that happen. I cannot go into labor. Because there is risk to me, there's risk to the baby in terms of bleeding out, hemorrhaging, different things like that. So what we just need is time. What we need is time. I'm also 6'2", so I'm a very tall woman. I carry very small. My uterus doesn't get super, super big. I often get that comment that like I carry my babies very small, which I've always taken as a great compliment, but this is like the one situation in pregnancy where I wish I carried very large because then my uterus would grow very, very big and my placenta would relocate to the top and I could push this baby naturally out. So that's really our update at 35 weeks. And hopefully we can come back on maybe after our ultrasound next, and we'll talk about we'll talk about the great news that the placenta's moved.
Yeah.
We'll talk about how we're preparing now for our natural birth. I will say that's like one of the sad things to all of this is with my pregnancy, my first pregnancy, I did a lot of natural birth prep. So I did a lot of like the squats and lunges and different holds and bouncing on the ball and doing all these things. And those are literally the things I need to stay away from in this pregnancy. Like I can't have too much pressure low because that only puts pressure on the placenta. So that's been really sad is not being able to prepare for the one thing I want to have and just wait. Like I just have to wait, which really sucks. But at least right now we do have the luxury of time. Like we are able to just sit back and wait. We're not in any stress. There's nothing dire happening. We can just hold off, enjoy the holidays, hopefully stress-free, get through Christmas, and then very late into January, have a home birth.
Yeah. You have a lot of time to grow.
Yeah.
Still got anywhere from 4 to 6 to 7, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
You are doing a lot better health-wise as well.
Yes, that should be noted. Yeah.
So you're feeling better.
I feel better.
Your diet's better.
Yeah.
So I think that is all a huge improvement. And I believe the body fully can heal itself. And I don't even necessarily believe that placenta previa is like a sickness. I think it's probably the body finding where the best blood supply is for the uterus. And it does that. And then it knows, hey, we're going to have to grow or work around later, whether that's bleeding or whatever it has to do to figure out the best scenario for that baby to come. I don't believe the body just makes a mistake, and then when the baby comes to be born, it's like, oh, now you're just going to bleed out and die. I don't really believe that. So I truly believe you had the best blood supply for the body, for your baby, having the Previa, having it near the bottom, and it's going to move. And you have a ton of room to grow. You're doing better.
Yeah.
Your body's going to heal.
Yeah.
Now, there's no guarantee. Maybe we follow up with a C-section, but I don't believe that. I do believe it's going to move. I believe you're going to have a natural birth. And I think a whole nother section we haven't even talked about is you've had major gallbladder issues as well. Yeah. And I actually think that probably they're tied together very much.
Well, one other thing we forgot to mention at the beginning when we explained what Previa is in our knowledge, the like risk factors, like how you get Previa. So typically, again, I'm going to miss a lot of the things, but like if you've had a previous C-section, right, you're more likely to have Previa because your placenta is going to implant only on like the viable tissue, and if there's like a scar, it will avoid that area. If you've had any sort of cervical surgery, anything like that, if you've smokers, there's some,
the older you are,
there's some argument that like advanced maternal age can do that too. So they say 35 and above. I'm 33. I'm a non-smoker. I've not had a C-section. So I really don't apply to a lot of these things. The one major thing that is to be considered was I got pregnant very quickly after having Everest. So I think between 7 and 8 months after having my first baby, I got pregnant again. Now, that's not to say that's the reason why this happened, but likely the inside of my uterus was not fully healed. It takes a really long time for that wound to heal. And so if I had a posterior, like higher up, attached placenta, then when this placenta went to attach, it was probably like, ooh, not quite healed, and then just settled a little bit lower. That's kind of what my theory is. I've told it to several medical professionals who all disagree that would be what happened, but that's my theory. So, but yeah, no, I've also had, like, obviously was still technically postpartum at 7-8 months postpartum, getting pregnant again. You're under high stress because you've now got a little walking, crawling little babe. Your diet's not the best. You're more stressed or busy than you've ever been. And so, like, yeah, I was not probably as well nourished as...
You're fully breastfeeding our son at the time?
Still 100% breastfeeding, and still am breastfeeding now.
Yeah. But he obviously eats a lot of regular food.
Yeah, yes. Doesn't solely breastfeed, yes. But yeah, so that plays likely a role of, like, some sort of inner weakness that, like you said, this doesn't just happen. There's likely a reason. and any of that could have played a role. So, and I'm doing better, feeling great, taking care of Everest. Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
This
Hopefully we
is
follow
gonna
up
go
in
well.
a couple of months or a couple of weeks from now, whatever it is.
Couple months.
Well, we're not going to record this within a couple of weeks of having the baby. I highly doubt it.
No, I mean, we're going to update again before having the baby.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to do another update once the placenta's moved.
Yes. Hopefully we do an
You keep
update.
saying you keep researching, and there's no success stories. So we got to post our success.
Yeah,
our success
that's what
story.
this is all about.
That's right.
This is what this is all about. There's not just going to be 2 on YouTube.
That's right. We're going to do a whole chain.
And then you can compile. You can get all the people that messaged you. And,
Yes,
we
and
can
start having them on.
Yes,
That's a great idea.
so that when people Google placenta previa, there's at
some
least
resources.
and some hope.
Yeah.
And some hope.
Well, I'm still full of hope. I hope you are too.
Yes, I'm full of hope. I truly believe you're gonna have a natural birth. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do a follow up in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Pray it's moved. And the mold issue, if anyone's wondering about that, we got the whole house renoed. It seems to be good. They fogged it. They removed all the mold. Reno seems to be great. Or the house looks like it never even happened.
happy, yeah.
All the moisture seems to be gone. And Everest and us doesn't seem to have got any ill health effects from it. I'm sure people might have been wondering that. Like
Yeah.
Everest, our son,
thriving.
has always thrived. He still is thriving.
Yeah.
Luckily, the mold never went up the drywall, never
Right.
went up the trim. It seemed
We have moisture barriered floor,
Yeah.
so the idea is it wasn't able to even escape.
Yeah.
So the real risk to us was when the floorboards were removed, we had to get out immediately.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been like really a concern for us before those floorboards were removed.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, it seems to like it didn't affect us.
Right.
We fogged it. We removed everything. We replaced it. We got a cleaner to come in, clean it all up, and we're back in our house, and
Back,
we seem to
baby.
be good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It was a whirlwind of a 6-week journey, but yeah, we're doing great, and the pregnancy is going really well, and we just have this one last piece, placenta to shift, and then start preparing for baby.
yeah,
It's so exciting.
yeah. Keep growing that baby in there.
Keep growing that baby. Awesome. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. And I'll try to link some of the videos we talked about, the other success stories below, and some of the people and resources that we found to help with the spleen chi, acupuncture things, and the people that we're working with on our end. Awesome. Thanks.
Great.
Okay. Bye.